No matter how hard I think, I can't understand why my life turned out like this. After years of living alone and meeting men who talked big and did nothing, I met Mustafa, a man whose first wife, Sarah, had died 2 years earlier. Everyone said it was a heart attack, but I'd be lying if I said I was the romantic type or some sheltered girl. If anything, Zoche and I had a talent for mischief. I fell hard, but it was quick and fleeting. I went on plenty of dates, aimless and just for fun. I remember the day I saw Mustafa, I nudged Zohre with my elbow and said, "Doesn't he look like that Turkish actor?" Zohre, who said she was done with my post-breakup whining, pushed my tea with rock candy toward me and muttered, "Drink this. Let's go. For the love of God, don't get us into trouble again." I shot her a look. She said, "Am I wrong? Last time you said he looked just like that volleyball player. How did that end?" After 4 months of stringing you along, he finally said, "We're not a good fit. My mom says one thing, my dad says another." Zohre kept talking, she always did, but who was listening? All my attention was on Mustafa. I was taken with his quiet, masculine presence, and I stared so openly that after a while, he couldn't help but smile. Mustafa left before we did, and I thought, "You just blew it, idiot." But as soon as we stepped out, he was waiting by his car, and the moment he saw us, he walked over. Zohre huffed in annoyance. I switched into my most proper voice, talked about myself and our neighborhood, and when he asked, "Do you live on your own?" I said yes and slipped his number into my purse. I really was that simple. No fuss, no pretense, and that's how most of my romances began. To Zohre, I was out of my mind and would never learn. At first, things with Mustafa were like my old flings. Fun, driving around, little gifts, and to fill the silence, a few shallow words about the future. I wasn't big on marriage. I told myself, why would any sane person sign her own prison sentence? But as time went on, and I discovered more sides of Mustafa, I realized this. I wanted to belong to him. I felt a strange hunger to belong to him. So much that when he dropped the slightest hint about the future, I'd stretch it into an hour-long talk, and in the end, in a playful voice, I'd ask, "So, when are you coming to make me your wife?" Just when I saw myself head over heels for Mustafa, he said he needed to tell me something. After a lot of hemming and hawing, he said he'd been married, and his wife had died. My skin prickled. I was sitting beside him in the car when he said it, and I went limp. It felt like the roof of the car, no, the whole sky was collapsing over me. A lump rose in my throat. The dreams I'd woven with him fell apart in front of me. Mustafa tried to calm me. He said he never imagined our relationship would go this deep. Because of that secret, we drifted apart for a while. During that time, day and night blurred together. My parents could feel something was wrong, like a quiet grief in the house. But all I said was, "I'm fine, I just need to be alone." The messages kept coming, not just from him, his friend too, begging me to meet Mustafa once, just once. The more he tried to make amends, the more Zohre whispered in my ear to end it. But I was still that reckless, love-drunk girl, so attached and aching that I shut my eyes and ears to his lie. After that, Mustafa was more cautious with me. After about 2 weeks, he said he wanted to propose formally, and he was in such a rush I was sure something else was about to surface, and he wanted to marry me before it did. He said his grandmother was sick, and if she died, he couldn't move forward for a long while, because his family was big on mourning and ritual. My family's reaction to his proposal was exactly what I expected, a firm no. Why should I marry a man who'd had a wife already? Was I blind or helpless? But I was aching to live under the same roof with Mustafa, counting the days to wake up beside him. I fought everyone and said, "It's Mustafa or death." My persistence and his visits slowly softened my family, And in the end, I got what I wanted. Mustafa's engagement ring slid onto my finger. We didn't stay engaged long. We had a small wedding, just like he wanted, no big crowd, and then we moved into our place. The first night we laid together, I could see how pale he was. His heart pounded, his hands shook. It couldn't be inexperience or modesty. This was his second time. When I asked what was wrong, he said he was exhausted from the wedding. Don't worry. But it kept happening, night after night. Every evening, he killed the mood, and instead of being like most newlyweds, close and warm, I was trapped in my own head. Mustafa avoided intimacy whenever he could, pretending to fall asleep most nights. One night, we were sitting in the living room, and I asked, "Mustafa, why do you get that way at night?" He looked at me and said nothing, just a deep breath, head down. I felt he was hiding something. I didn't press him. I knew he had a reason he didn't want to share. After a while, even though I wanted my husband badly, I decided to hold back so those episodes wouldn't happen. We'd just share a bed, but I'd lie awake until morning, thinking, feeling every hair on my head turn white. One day, I told myself I had to know. I don't know where that sharp woman's intuition came from, but I felt his anxiety around intimacy had to do with his late wife, like a wound she'd left behind. I asked people around him about Sarah. They all said they had no problems when Sarah was alive. I heard all that, but I knew there was something beneath the surface, something he didn't want me to know. I started catching whispers between him and his mother, and those suspicious calls, he'd move away from me and answer out on the balcony. One late afternoon, the doorbell rang, Mustafa wasn't home, and I was dressed to go to my father's house. I opened the door and froze at the woman who introduced herself. It was Mustafa's first wife's sister. Her face was raw with anger and grief. At first, I thought she had the wrong place, but the moment our eyes met, I knew she'd come for something serious. Without any warning, she said, "He'll swallow you whole too, poor thing. Isn't it tragic? How do you even have the nerve to stay in this hell?" I stared at her, stunned. She went on, "Sarah was your age, same size, same face. Every boy in the family lined up for her. God damn our father for marrying her off to Mustafa." I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Mustafa made sure Sarah died. They didn't tell you that, did they? Of course not. No wonder you walk around his house like it's yours. Tell him that I personally will make him pay for my sister's blood one day." My heart turned to ice. My head spun. My breath caught. I stared at her, trying to digest her words, and she left without another word. Still in my outdoor clothes, I sat cross-legged in the courtyard, stunned. I didn't know how much of what I'd heard was true, but terror flooded me. When Mustafa came home and saw me like that, he froze. He came toward me, but I wouldn't let him touch me. I screamed without thinking, "You killed someone!" He went pale. In a soft voice, he said, "Are you okay, my love? Did you have a bad dream?" He came closer to lead me inside, but I shoved him away and stormed through the house, pointing at every corner. "Where did you kill her? Here? That corner? Over there?" He couldn't calm me. When I finally calmed down enough, he asked, "Did Sarah's sister come?" With that, all my doubt turned solid. Before I could speak, he choked out, "I swear to God, I didn't kill her. She killed herself." She killed herself? Then why tell me it was natural causes? Why say it was a heart attack? I fired the questions at him, shouting, and he realized his silence wouldn't fool me anymore. When he finally spoke, the world caved in again. After what he said, I wished he had killed Sarah for some reason, anything, rather than push her to that edge. The man whose purity and character I defended to everyone had cheated on his first wife. In the very room where he slept with me, he'd brought a street girl into their home, and right in the middle of that filthy thrill, Sarah caught them. That night,
Sarah ended it all. She threw him out, turned on the gas, and gave up her life for a man she thought loved her. A man who could act better than anyone. Listening to him sob as he told me this, I trembled. I just wanted to run. Away from that house, away from the man who'd pretended to be my safe place. Mustafa tried to stop me, but I left and collapsed in my mother's arms, sobbing. They froze just like me, hearing that story. My father tried more than once to go after Mustafa and grab him by the collar, but my mother held him back. They wouldn't let Mustafa set foot in our home and said he had to divorce me now. Divorce wasn't just my parents' idea. I was terrified to go on with Mustafa. I knew his betrayal would come for me too, sooner or later. I'd end up like Sarah. For me, being cheated on was the end. Mustafa and his family called a few times. He apologized over and over, said he hid it all because he loved me. But the lie was the smallest part of it. The problem cut to his core.
The "I told you so's" from my parents and from Zore made me feel worse, but they were right. I'd done this to myself. And now I, the girl whose parents had the best dreams for her, who pictured an ideal marriage and a prince on horseback making her queen of the world, was climbing courthouse stairs, begging for a divorce. I just wanted Mustafa to let me go, to return me to where I was before he ever stepped into my life, and to disappear from my world for good.